पाकिस्तान में हमारे आज के मेहमान हैं एक बैनुल-अक़वामी शहरत याफ्ता शख्सियत जिनका वादी कश्मीर से ताल्लुक़ है, जिनकी वलादत वादी कश्मीर में हुई है और उनकी बूद-बाश यहाँ पे हुई है। इनके नाम से जम्मू कश्मीर का बच्चा वाक़िफ़ है। हम आज इनसे मुखातिब होंगे यहाँ पे और हम कलाम होंगे इनके साथ डॉक्टर मोहम्मद सुल्तान खुरो साहब। डॉक्टर खुरो साहब, आपका शुक्रिया, आप तशरीफ़ लाए। आपके काम से और आपके नाम से हमारे बहुत सारे नाज़रीन ख़वातीन हज़रात अच्छी तरह से वाक़िफ़ हैं, लेकिन चूँकि हमारा एक पॉडकास्ट है और डिटेल्ड हम आपसे जानना चाहते हैं कि आपकी विलादत और आपकी तालीम तरबियत कहाँ पे हुई और किन वजूहात में आप एक डॉक्टर बने और फिर आपकी सुपर स्पेशलाइजेशन वगैरह हुई जो मैदा और जिगर से मुतल्लिक़ अमराज हैं, इनके आप बैनुल-अक़वामी शहरत के माहिर आप बन गए और आप यहाँ पे शेर-ए-कशमीर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंस के बाद में डायरेक्टर भी मुकर्रर हुए। उसके बाद आपने सऊदी अरबिया में 10 साल तक एक मारूफ हॉस्पिटल के इसी शोबे में सरबराह रहे वहाँ के। हम आपसे तफ़सीलन पहले आप जानना चाहेंगे कि आपकी बुनियादी तालीम और तरबियत कहाँ पे हुई और किन हालात में?
अहमद साहब, ये मैं सोपोर में पैदा हुआ। सोपोर का एक छोटा सा इलाका है जो महला है, महला क्राल्टिंग कहते हैं, तो वहाँ मेरी पैदाइश हुई। तो मेरी पैदाइश ओबियसली जो मेरे पापा और मेरे जो दादा थे और मेरे अंकल, वो they were educated not in today's education. वो अरबी और पर्शियन में बड़ी महारत रखते थे। पर्टिकुलरली मेरे जो ग्रैंडफादर थे, उनको अरबिक तालीम और कुरान की तालीम और ओबियसली रिलीजियस तालीम में वो बड़े माहिर थे। एंड ही हैड हिज एसोसिएशन विद मैनी स्कॉलर्स दैट टाइम इन सोपोर। तो मेरे जो फादर थे हाजी अब्दुर्रहीम खुरो मरहूम, तो वो भी पर्शियन में ही वाज वेरी वेल एजुकेटेड इंक्लूडिंग माय अंकल। सो दैट इज़ ये जो मेरी पैदाइश हुई एक फैमिली में हुई दैट वाज फुल ऑफ रिलीजियस पर्शियन एंड अरबिक कल्चर।
आपकी विलादत 1945 में हुई थी?
44-45 yeah. So but although I might have been, I don't remember that, but I'll tell you what are the repercussions क्या इसके हुए। दूसरी obviously there was so much against the rule, there was so much happening, particularly शेख साहब की जो moment हुई, that was also very important. So because of these, and there were several other बाकी 3-4 चीज़ें हुई। There were many earthquakes. एक earthquake तो it stayed for about 6 weeks. There were that was the one of the worst earthquakes Kashmir has seen. And then there were floods. Floods आते थे repeatedly every year in Sopore because जो पहरू होता था, once it gets overflown, it would stop Jahlim at Dobgaon, and the whole water would come into Sopore, and practically we'll see every year we'll see a flood till the dredging started and all that later on, but that was much later. So because of these issues, what we had to do, the most important was the family had to protect ourselves. So what we would do, we would take a boat, a Dunga boat, and whenever there was some issues, we'd go into the Wular and stay there for a few months for protection, and then come back into our house. So this had been happening many times when I was probably, I don't remember about it, but that is what I was told. So this was one thing which happened. But once I became aware of myself, that is the schooling. I entered a school, what we call as, जिसको कहते हैं Jabri school. Maharaja had started, I don't know whether you know the history. Maharaja had started somewhere 3 decades before a system of schools, what was called Jabri school.
Compulsory education.
Compulsory, enforced, not compulsory, it was enforced education. It was not compulsory. You had to, the families had to send their boys to the school, and otherwise they would be punished. Otherwise they would be penalized if they did not send. This was the Maharaja Rising had started, and this continued. And that is the time I entered one of the schools. That was, but that was after the Maharaja had gone. Where there was a government was by Sheikh Saab was the prime minister at that time. So there was a Jabri school called Baba Yusuf. I entered that, but excellent teachers, excellent education. And there was a moment called the Kashmir moment. I don't know whether you know that Sheikh Saab had started, and this was, I took a lot of part in that. Our school would go to the villages every week, one day, and talk to the people about women's rights, about so many things, about hygiene, about, there were so many other issues in the society that time, talk about them. And I would really, from that school, I would take the front row and talk to villagers, and we'd go to the villages all over Sopore. So this was but teachers were excellent. So this was the primary education in a Jabri school. Uske baad, I went to a short 1 year Islamic school, but then I finally went to the high school, which was the main high school in Sopore. And after I passed the 10th pass karke, I went to the degree college doing 11th and 12th. So that is where the basic education stopped in Sopore. That is up to 12th.
FSC कहते थे उन दिनों.
That's 11th and 12th was called FSC. Matriculation and FSC, it was different system. But 11th and 12th was together. And 12th examination was done by the University of Kashmir. And even 10th was also done by the University of Kashmir. There were no other systems. So 10th I appeared in the University of Kashmir, and 12th also I appeared in the University of Kashmir. Interestingly, after 12th, first I wanted to, मैं चाहता था कि मैं non-medical पढूं.
जी.
But because I was quite interested in mathematics and
physics and chemistry,
those things. But जब मैं 11th में when I filled the form, I remember the professor who filled the form, Bhatt Saab. He was a biology teacher. He said, "आप क्या लेना चाहते हैं?" I was sitting across table with him. मैंने कहा, "सर मैं non-medical लेता हूँ." So he took the medical. मैंने कहा, "आप medical take कर रहे हैं?" उसने कहा, "हाँ मैं medical take कर रहा हूँ. You will do medical."
अच्छा, तो आपकी choice नहीं थी,
उनकी choice. It was his choice.
अच्छा.
Because he ticked it, and I was sitting in front of this thing, and he said, "You sign it." So fatigably, that's how fate moves. So after my 12th mein, I got a position in the university. I was sitting probably second in the whole University of Kashmir on 12th in Kashmir. So I was staying home. I didn't do anything. So suddenly, after about 15 days or around 3 weeks, मुझे एक लेटर मिल गया that you have been selected for MBBS in Maulana Azad Medical College. मैं परेशान हो गया, मैंने अप्लाई भी नहीं किया था. तो I asked my accountants क्या होता, कहते हैं ये कहते हैं कि 12th में जो भी select list है उनको ये MBBS में भेजते हैं, because medical college started in 62, 59, this was 62, 61, 62. कहता है ऐसे होता है, बट जो पहले 2-3 लड़के हो जाते हैं उनको ये बाहर भेजते हैं. एंड यू आर वन ऑफ देम, सो यू कांट गो इनटू मेडिकल कॉलेज श्रीनगर. मैंने कहा मैं नहीं जाऊंगा दिल्ली, मैं गया नहीं था कभी दिल्ली. मैं तो सो hesitantly with my uncle, God bless his soul, he took me. कहता है you don't want to go to Delhi? कहता है, मैंने कहा मैं नहीं जाऊंगा. अब अगर मुझे जाना मुझे मेडिकल कॉलेज श्रीनगर में भेजो कहता चले सेक्रेटरी चले So we met with the secretary. He was a very nice officer, Pandit. I don't remember his name, but he was a Pandit secretary. Very decent. He said, "What is the problem?" I said, "Sir, मैं Srinagar में जाना चाहता हूँ." Because there's no problem. If you don't like it, you go to medical college Srinagar. So he changed over and gave this to Dr. Abdullah, who is the ENT. You remember he recently passed away. God bless his soul also. He was a friend of mine. So he was sent to Maulana Azad. He opted for it because his house was there. He had all the connections in Delhi. So I went to medical college. So ये हुआ कि how did I किस ट्रेल में मैं मेडिकल कॉलेज चला गया. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज वाइल इन द स्कूलिंग मैं आपसे अर्ज करना चाहता हूँ स्कूलिंग में बिकॉज ऑफ फ्लड्स because of earthquakes and because of political जो upheavals थे nearly 70-80% of my classmates they were dropouts. The problem was it was difficult to maintain security and difficult to maintain schooling. And also financial issues were there in the families, although it was not a major problem in the family, but certainly was. So I would do two things. I would teach my classmates. 2-3 classmates थे. They were. I would go to their houses and girls थे, and teach them during schooling, and then also do small businesses to really get some financial aid for my schooling. But I continued. It was a difficult time, and also many times we had to really move out of the house because of flooding and take the neighbor's house, which was a bit higher up. That would also happen. So childhood was, although family was highly educated, highly they would take care, but then these were the circumstances, were very difficult circumstances in political, social, and economic conditions where Kashmir was passing through difficulty. So we had to really come up out of that. So that was a hard time.
में आपने दाखिला लिया और 1967 में आपने ये कंप्लीट किया और उसके बाद फिर आपने अगले 5 साल में फिर आपने पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन भी कंप्लीट किया तिब में. तो इस पूरे अरसे में आपने पहले भी बताया है कि इसमें काफ़ी मुश्किलात का आपको सामना करना पड़ा. आप श्रीनगर आते थे सोपोर से और आपका काफ़ी सपोर्ट रहा था आपके अंकल का. हम जानना चाहते हैं कि किन कंडीशंस में आपकी पढ़ाई हुई थी गवर्नमेंट मेडिकल कॉलेज श्रीनगर में?
मेडिकल कॉलेज श्रीनगर वाज ब्लेस्ड. It was blessed because I must admit the one who gave a concept of the medical college, he brought the best teachers from all over India. They were the top class teachers, and they were as our faculty, the top class. Anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, anything, biochemistry, medicine, surgery, जो भी they were best people जहाँ they were found out and they were brought in. So जो पहले 5-6, I was in the 4th batch or maybe few more batches, we saw them teaching us, and they were experienced, they were very caring, they were God-fearing, and they would know what it means to make a human being a doctor. There were so many instances which I know they would really give us that a student is there, and when he becomes a doctor, what it means to become a doctor. That was one thing. The quality of the teachers, the quality of teaching. So I came up with flying colors. मुझे ज़्यादा इसका इल्म नहीं था कि पहले जो फर्स्ट ईयर एग्ज़ाम हुआ, अब I appeared as any other ordinary student. So Dr. Iyer and Dr. Who was anatomy, and then Dr. Kahali, who was the physiology. So Dr. Iyer came and who says, Mohammad Sultan Khuroo. He had not known me. I said, sir, I'm there. So you're getting distinction. So Dr. Kahali also in his another, when he was giving, who is Mohammad Sultan Khuroo? Sir, he did not know me. So, oh, you are getting distinction. So I was down to earth. I had not really shown up. There was no hype in my being a medical student. Just I was from a village, and I had, but Alhamdulillah, similarly it happened in pathology, then it happened in pharmacology, it happened in medicine. Colonel Cole was there, excellent administrator. He was the principal and also had advanced medicine. And so they recognized.
तो एक गोल्ड मेडल आपको मिला बेस्ट आउटगोइंग स्टूडेंट.
That was right. 62, 67. I got the best outgoing.
Or 9 other awards.
Several other awards.
Other awards.
Yeah, because of distinctions and staying first.
बुनियाद जहां हम खड़े हैं, ये है मजबूत इरादे की बुनियाद, मजबूत हौसले की बुनियाद. हम मजबूत हैं. ये घर, ये दरो दीवार, ये राहें, सब गवाह हैं इस मजबूती की. आइए हम आपके इरादों को मजबूत बनाएं. हम हैं TCI Max, सॉलिड स्ट्रेंथ हमेशा.
जब आपने ये मास्टर्स किया मेडिसिन में, तो MD किया, तो आपको कैसे शौक हुआ कि इस पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में जाने का?
अहमद साहब, ये एक्चुअली जब मेडिसिन मैंने किया, तो MD मेडिसिन, माय थीसिस वाज इन गैस्ट्रोएंटरोलॉजी. इट वाज ऑन एसिड्स. What is the acid level of the stomach in Kashmiris? ये कोई नया कंसेप्ट था. उस वक्त एंडोस्कोपी नहीं थी, कोई चीज़ नहीं थी, बट कि एसिड कितना होता है, कि क्यों कश्मीरियों में जो एसिडिटी होती है क्यों कॉमन होती है.
जी
और अल्सर जो होता है क्यों कॉमन होता है। और उस वक्त वन ऑफ द मेजर डिजीज़ जब हमने वार्ड में देखी थी ब्लैक मोशन। हर एक अगर आप 30 पेशेंट होते थे वार्ड में मेल और 30 फीमेल, 15 को ब्लैक मोशन होगा मेल्स को, 15 को फीमेल को ब्लैक मोशन होगा। दे वर एडमिटेड। सो वी वांटेड टू नो that time, it was in my mind, why should people get acidity, why should they have ulcer, and why should they have, and commonest cause was ulcer, and they would bleed, and many times endoscopic treatment nahi tha, we would have to send them to surgery, and many times patients would die because of massive bleeding, and blood was not available so much that time. So I wanted to find out how much acid is in Kashmir. So we did that study, and that was my first thesis. इसके बाद मेरे के बाद after me about 5-6 postgraduates also did the same work, continued the same work. So that was one interest. It was related to the gastroenterology. But I was also interested in cardiology, and as an MD student और मैं जब मैं रजिस्ट्रार था और जब लेक्चरर मेडिकल कॉलेज बन गया, I became also interested in other parts. Patient care was very important. Cardiology, neurology, they were also very interesting subjects. Very particularly cardiology was very interesting because rheumatic heart disease, अब तो different disease है, वहाँ rheumatic heart disease होती थी. That was also very common. It was a major problem because of the socio-economic conditions. Rheumatic heart disease was #1 disease in heart. So I was interested in cardiology as well as gastroenterology. So, but important was that that time the practice of medicine now the people had changed. Now we had different class of people. That is, the local crowd had come and they had become the faculty and the head of the departments. And somehow in the medical college and SMH hospital, the practice of medicine was concentrated on private practice. All the people जो अब थे, पहले जो थे, they would never do practice. जैसे कर्नल कोल, परमानिक, they were really 24/7 in the college and in the hospital.
वो नहीं करते थे private practice.
They would not practice. No, they never practiced. And most of the people who came from outside, they never practiced. They were 24/7 involved in this. But then the new breed which was there, they had a lot of hype around them. जैसे Dr. Ali Jan थे, Dr. Nasir साहब थे, Dr. Zahur Rai, then Dr. Dar, Dr. Lakman. This was the people when I got trained and I went into the faculty. The practice of medicine was concentrated around the private practice. Now this was very good because people were being helped. You could go and see Dr. Ali Jan in his chamber, or anybody. Nasir Saab, he continued doing till late. And anyway, this was very, very important for the from the society point of view. But from the medical, practice of medicine, it went down one step. Because you would not do so much effort to improve the practice of medicine in the medical college. But you would do practice in the private practice would be at its top. I didn't feel very comfortable with this concept. So, because I thought that medical college needed a push, so I moved out. I went to PGI. I went for cardiology, but also applied because they told me in cardiology they have only one seat and you may not get it. You make an alternative lower specialty. So I applied for gastroenterology also. So I got both of them. Finally, Dr. Stani agreed again.
PGI Chandigarh.
PGI Chandigarh. So I did 2 years in PGI Chandigarh. There I saw the practice of medicine had completely changed. There was a significant difference between Medical College Srinagar and SMHS and the PGI. Because the private practice was not there. Everybody was there at 8 o'clock sharp till 6 p.m. And they were inside. Not only inside, they would they would improve the quality of patient care. They improve the quality of investigations and quality of research. Say, morning में 8 to 9 there was a CPC every day, either a lecture or a CPC. It's unheard of that your patient dies and you know next week what is his diagnosis. It's the biggest education you can have. And third day you know somebody gives a lecture on that disease. And in the evening there would be strict teaching. And these teachers were there and there would be quality research. So those 2 years were, I understood that what was the difference between medical college and SMHS versus PGI. And I think the most important focus here was patient care at the table level, on the private practice. There it was patient care at a quality level.
हमने सुना है कि आप अपनी ट्रेनिंग के दौरान ट्यूशन भी करते थे और अपनी पढ़ाई का एक हिस्सा आप अपने खर्चे से पूरा करते थे और बस के ज़रिए सफ़र करते थे सोपोर से श्रीनगर। तो ये कितना मुश्किल स्ट्रगल था उन दिनों?
It's quite hard, after all. If you want to do something in life, and particularly you are not you're from a background that you have to move in the buses from Sopore to Srinagar, we'd move in the bus. Or here we'd stay in the hostel. And then finances also were quite, I would say, not available, but they were quite restricted and quite limited. Jaise all these 4-5 years, my uncle and my father, they had made a very strict discipline for me. That look, you get 10 rupees per week. I would get 10 rupees per week. Not that they could not give me 100 or they couldn't give, but that is what they sort of
डिसिप्लिन रखना चाहते थे। जरा सा पीछे जाएंगे तो आपका जो पहला आर्टिकल इस पे छपा 1980 में, जिसमें आपने ये बताया था ये नॉन ए नॉन बी
हेपेटाइटिस ई ऐसी डिजीज है कि जो सोचता है it's a unique disease, completely unique, and that is what we found there. Even in 78, 79, in first 6 months I found this disease is so unique. It comes at epidemics, जैसे water ने आपने फरमाया कि that it comes in water has to be fecally contaminated. It has not to be contaminated. Contamination होता है if you go into a restaurant and chef is infected, he can give you hepatitis A, but he will not give you hepatitis E. No. It has to be a gross fecal contamination of the water. What would happen in England stream? There were latrines all along the England, right from Tangmarg down to Wooler. And you go in the morning, you ease yourself, it gets directly into the water. That is fecal contamination. And next, we have taken photographs that a lady would take notice mothers, they would put water. And here there's a latrine. So this is something, this is fecal contamination. This gives hepatitis E. So you have to be, that is number one. Second is, किसी को जब हो जाए, 8 times more pregnant women get infected. So if one man gets infection, one woman gets infection, 8 pregnant women get infection. Second, this was all done because of the field study. It could not have been otherwise. You couldn't find it. Second is, if one person dies of male and female, children to no deaths, male and female, 20 pregnant women would die. Now this is a unique disease. It is never described earlier before.
तो ये आपकी सबसे बड़ी दरियाफ्त है अभी तक.
That's why I am proud of myself.
नहीं, इसके लिए फख्र होना चाहिए रियासत जम्मू कश्मीर को भी और पूरे हिंदुस्तान को भी कि बाकी जो हेपेटाइटिस के वायरस हैं वो सभी के सभी मेरे ख्याल से गैर मुल्की साइंसदानों ने दरियाफ्त किए थे और ये आपने कर लिया. हेपेटाइटिस ई,
A, B, C and D, they all done in Europe and United States, while E was done in Kashmir and in India. So this is, and E is a disease now, it is a disease of India में ही नहीं है. It is more common in.
हवाले से ये बताया गया है कि ये तकरीबन 20 मिलियन यानी कि 2 करोड़ लोगों को लाख हो जाता है और जिसमें 32 लाख के करीब लोगों की डेथ हो जाती है. क्या ये बात सही है?
Absolutely. 3 lakh deaths per year.
इंडिया में इसकी प्रेवलेंस कितनी है और जम्मू कश्मीर में कितनी प्रेवलेंस है?
If you talk of seroprevalence हो गया, how many people have been exposed? 1/3 of population. अगर ना आप देखेंगे कि कितनों को अगर एंटीबॉडी करेंगे, कितनों को पिछले हेपेटाइटिस सी हुआ, दैट्स कॉल्ड सीरोप्रेवलेंस. बट इंसिडेंस, दैट इज डिजीज कितनों को होती है, अपने दैट्स व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू सेड. यू आर राइट दैट you get about 300,000 deaths globally and 5,000 neonatal deaths. Fetuses, because of the pregnant women, they lose their fetuses of 5,000 per year. Earlier, it was supposed to be a disease of the India and Indian subcontinent because of fecally contaminated water. अब ये fecally contaminated अमेरिका में तो होगा नहीं, but वहाँ पर ये ज़्यादा common है हमसे.
वो कैसे?
हाँ. What happens? There are 2 types of hepatitis E. Genotype 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 3 and 4 are 100% of swine population is infected with genotype either 3 or 4. जो sore होते हैं, whether boar or even pigs, they are all infected either with genotype 3 or genotype 4. जैसे चाइना में genotype 4 है, जापान में, अमेरिका and यूरोप में there is genotype 3. What people do when we take a pig in India, we cook it. Nobody will take pig raw. So people don't get it from pigs. The reason is not that. It is also in India in pigs. Every pig has it. 100%.
अच्छा. ये सब infected होते हैं.
Infect होते हैं. Hepatitis. There are 15 types of animals which are infected with hepatitis E. Number 1 is swine. But India में it doesn't transmit the disease to the man because you cook it. If you go to France, you take sausage. Sausage is done, the classical sausage is done, you take a pig's liver and stuff it into the sausage. And जैसे हम वाजवान खाते हैं इसी तरह वहाँ, and that is a raw pig, raw liver and raw meat. People love it. When you take it, 25% of those sausages and that raw pig meat in the supermarkets infected with active hepatitis C, and they get hepatitis C. So it is a classical animal transmission foodborne. It's eating through a raw pig. Also, boar is another one. Then there are rabbits can do that. Several other animals, but number one is pig. But there are 15 types of animals which are infected with hepatitis E. 15 types of animals, and they are globally there. But the major way the man gets infected is mostly from swine. जैसे chicken में, it causes a major disease. If hepatitis E comes in chicken, it completely takes off the herd. It kills everybody, all the herd. But that's in chicken. Fish has it. Then camel has it. Then rat has it. Now rat also can transmit the disease to humans, and camel can disease to humans. But that's not a big problem. The major problem is swine. So it's very common in the West also, but not through water, but through swine taking raw pig meat. So it's become very interesting.
आपकी दरियाफ्तों का जो इन्वेंशंस हैं उनमें एक जिक्र होता है जो प्रोटीन इनहिबिटर पंप्स का, तो इसमें ये क्या आपने ये मुतारिफ किया है इस चीज़ को यहाँ?
ये एक्चुअली मैंने पहले अर्ज किया था, आई वाज इंटरेस्टेड इन आई स्टार्टेड विद एसिड इन द स्टमक, दैट आई स्टार्टेड इन हेडवन, सो आई वाज इंटरेस्टेड इन दैट, but then I got involved in hepatitis E till 82. Then I went to the institute. There we had obviously a different culture. Institute started with a big bang, and other than patient care which had to be brought up, then administration, there were so many administrative activities because the new institute, and then third was also research. One of the areas I got involved was this acid, because that was right from when I was in 70s. I was interested कि acid की problem है यहाँ पर. So what we did, I was doing lots of experiments कि ऐसी एक दवा मिलनी चाहिए कि एसिड मैदे का ख़त्म हो. अब जब एसिड मैदे का ख़त्म होगा तो ये अल्सर जो ब्लीड होता है, ये आर्टरी है, यहाँ क्लॉट है, तो पेप्सिन digests the clot and you get bleeding, and that's why people bleed. But I wanted to find a drug which will take off the acid so that pepsin doesn't work and this clot stabilizes. For 6 years, I worked on pH studies. We couldn't find a drug. Antacids, no. Anticholinergics, no. H2 receptor antagonists, no. I would give big doses to patients. इससे भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता. एसिड जीरो नहीं होता था. एसिड फिर भी थोड़ा कम होता था, but it would not be zero, so that yet people would bleed. जब ये omeprazole आया, so omeprazole tablet थे, so I got very much interested कि ये मत करें. So I started working, and as I give, normally omeprazole का 20 milligram देते हैं और 40 देते हैं. I brought to 60, 80, 120, 160 and did pH studies. It took a lot of time, months and months. As soon as I reached 80 milligrams, acid became zero. I knew that this is the drug which we have to use.
एक important invention.
And then we did 6 years. We did a trial on 220 patients. एक ग्रुप को हमने ओमेप्राजोल दिया नहीं, दूसरे को ओमेप्राजोल दिया. जिनको ओमेप्राजोल दिया उनकी जो GI bleed होती थी, you would give omeprazole, they would not bleed. Now this was something I did not believe. 80 milligrams. So I saw these data very carefully. Am I in my full this thing? So we did a statistical work. worked very hard on it, and sent it to NEJM, New England Journal of Medicine. After some questions, they accepted it. It created a huge bank that Dr. Khuroo and his team has published the first paper in NEJM, #1 in India. Nobody had published. किसी ने publish किया नहीं था NEJM में.
हमारे नाज़रीन के लिए ये बताएं कि ये जो अमेरिकन जर्नल्स है, लैंसेट है, और ये जो न्यू इंग्लैंड जर्नल ऑफ मेडिसिन NEJM, तो इनके बारे में ये बताइए कितने अहम हैं, क्योंकि हमारे बहुत से नाज़रीन को ये समझ नहीं आता है कि इम्पोर्टेंट पब्लिकेशंस कितनी इम्पोर्टेंट है.
Lancet is a different thing. I'll tell you, sir, about the NEJM. NEJM has stayed #1 journal in the history of medicine for last 2 to 3 decades. It has impact factor #1 and it has stayed #1. Number 2, NEJM only takes therapeutic work. It does not take basic science, which goes to sinus and other areas. It takes therapeutic work. Therapeutic work में हो गया when a drug or a procedure works, जैसे surgery, जैसे drug. So it takes therapeutic trials. So when a therapeutic trial is accepted in NEJM, it gets directly into the patient care. So that's something important. Like I showed that omeprazole 80 milligrams stops bleeding. Everybody uses now 80 milligrams. Why? Because it's published in NEJM. And then people also did trials. They showed, then they started doing the IV, because IV उस वक्त था ही नहीं मेरे पास, उस वक्त oral था. So that is something very important for NEJM. And NEJM publications, one of my American friend told me that once he saw Dr. Faisal, he saw this paper in NEJM. He is a basic researcher, a wonderful virologist. So I was at NIH. I had gone for hepatitis E there. So he said, Dr. Khuroo, I saw this paper in NEJM. I said, yes. He said, I don't understand it much, but this is NEJM. I said, sir, this is NEJM. He said, do you know what it means? I said, no, I don't know what it means. It means that I am the first Indian who published an NEJM from India. He says, no. I have heard American physicians, when they go to research, they said we should have the first publication in NEJM, and many of them retire after that.
अच्छा, मतलब एक भी नहीं छपी इनकी.
When they publish one article in NEJM, many of them I have seen they're retiring. They say we don't have to do anything more. I know he was just giving the significance of NEJM.
इनमें ये जो NEJM या जो अमेरिकन ये जो जर्नल
This is one journal.
तो इसमें
New England Journal of Medicine.
आपकी कितनी पब्लिकेशंस हैं इन जर्नल्स में? 3 NEJM में, और बाकी
and then 3 publications, and then 3 more NEJM watch. NEJM, what it does is they have a separate area that any other article which is published in other journals, and if it is of significance, they put it into their what's called NEJM watch. There are 3 more in NEJM watch. So actually 6 encounters in NEJM. Basically 2 major publications, 1 communication, and 3 NEJM watch.
और अमेरिकन जर्नल्स में?
So it must be more than 50 other journals, yes, like hepatology, gastroenterology, GI endoscopy. More than, I would say not, maybe even, I don't remember, but total articles are about 242. Most of them are either European, English or American journals. Maybe 10-15 in Indian journals.
हम जानना चाहेंगे कि आप जब शेर-ए-कश्मीर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंस में आए 1982 में, और उसके बाद आप डीन फैकल्टी ऑफ मेडिसिन भी मुकर्रर वहाँ पे हुए, और उसके बाद आपने तकरीबन 12-13 साल वहाँ पे काम किया. 18 साल काम किया शेर-ए-कश्मीर इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेडिकल साइंस में, और इसमें 14 years. और इसमें आप किस चीज़ पे आपको अपनाजा है, जिस पर आपको फ़ख्र है या इत्मीनान है कि ये हमने ये चीज़ की, इंक्लूडिंग जो अपने 1993 से 95 तक आप डायरेक्टर शेर-ए-कश्मीर मेडिकल इंस्टीट्यूट रहे, तो इसमें इत्मीनान किस चीज़ पे आपको, और किस चीज़ पे अफसोस है कि ये हुआ नहीं?
पहली जो फर्स्ट थिंग is institute that time was a building. It was a structure made of stones and cement and all that. Now to put life into that was not easy. And I think about 8 or 9 people or maybe 10 people were the ones who were given life into the institute. And it has been the clinicians, those 10 people who left everything in their life. They left all the benefits they had. The day I joined the institute, I went from a car into a bus. And in the bus also I had to stand because nobody would allow me to sit in this. And we left everything behind us to put life into this enormous building. I might tell you that up to the time we started the institute, it was just a structure. There was no life in that. So I'm really proud of it that I joined those maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 people who put in. Now, what does life mean? It means policies. It is not policies which are written in the paper. It is policies in practice. Second, patient care. Third, procedures. Fourth, getting good name to the institute and building the institute name by 85, 86. It was #1 place in India. To bring it from 82 to 85, 86, an institute which was just a building into a #1 institute in India was not easy. And it did not take less than 18 hours work per day. So that's #1, to get life into the institute. And this was not only me, then several other people. I would say about 10, 15 people, and they were highly committed, highly committed. Second, I am very proud that I brought gastroenterology to national and international level from institute. It was #1 gastroenterology center in India, and also could be compared with anywhere else in the world. Second, that was from patient care point of view, procedure point of view, how you deal with, your so many issues with the patient care and disease. That was second. Third, I was responsible to set up as dean. Up to when institute was started, in the first 1 or 2 years, concept of medical education was not there. जो पहले इंस्टीट्यूट ने बनाया था, it was meant to really do tertiary patient care for 5 specialties. There was no question of medical education. It was not even written. जो गवर्निंग बॉडी के रूल्स थे, मेडिकल एजुकेशन वाज नॉट इवन रिटन देयर कि हम एमडी करेंगे, एमएस करेंगे, बिकॉज यू कुड नॉट डू इट. It was only for 5 specialties. It was for cardiology, cardiac surgery, neurology, neurosurgery, gastroenterology, surgical gastroenterology, oncology, and cancer therapy, and all the things, and urology. Bas. And that is why the main building is concentrated on. अगर आप अभी भी देखेंगे, so it was with Dr. B.K. Anand, and along I gave him a full support. He was the dean of the All Institute. He became the director. He said, Dr. Khuroo, this is wrong. Where is MD, MS, PhD and all that? Where are those? मैंने कहा सर यहाँ तो है ही नहीं. So we started, and
the process of making it a deemed university.
Deemed university. We went to Sheikh Saab. Dr. Anand was inside, I was outside. So he told him, sir, we want to make a deemed university. Sheikh Saab was very nice. He said, yes, go ahead. So Dr. Anand was moving out. I was just watching him. He was moving out with the affirmation from Sheikh Saab. He told me, wait, if you make it a university of, a national university of importance, जैसे All Institute, who will control the Sher-e-Kashmir Institute? So Dr. Anand hesitated, told him, sir, center will control. He said, no, I don't like it. So Anand was quite depressed. He came out. Sir, I told him, sir, make it a deemed university. So he went back and told him, sir, we'll make it a deemed university. He says, who is going to make deemed? He said, legislature act 90% people should vote for this. He says, वो कहाँ करेंगे? Sheikh Saab said, how will I get 90% votes? I don't have, he didn't have the majority that time. He was getting support from other this thing. So then I interviewed. I said, sir, I'm responsible for that. He says, what? Who are you? What do you want? Sir, I'm responsible for getting 90% support. He said, how will you do it? I said, I will go to every MLA and tell him that, and I did do that. And we got 100% support from legislature. We became a deemed university.
तो एक एक्ट बना और उस एक्ट के तहत बना ये एक डीम्ड यूनिवर्सिटी.
It was done because of Dr. Anand.
अब इसमें डीएम एमसीएच के कोर्सेज वहाँ पे होते हैं, बहुत सारे कोर्सेज होते हैं, लेकिन बहुत सारे लोगों के जहन में ये सवाल है कि 45 साल तक इतना सारा काम होने के बावजूद भी यहाँ पे जब किसी को लिवर का फेलियर हो जाता है और भी कई डिजीज हो जाती हैं, तो इसको क्यों बाहर भेजना पड़ता है दिल्ली और चेन्नई और बहुत सारी जगहों पर? यहाँ पे अभी तक ये लिवर ट्रांसप्लांट पॉसिबल क्यों नहीं हुआ है और क्या होगा कभी?
Things will, I'll just give the history, part of the history, which is जो important है. Up to 86, 87 and 88, institute was with the current all over the world. Whatever would happen there would happen to All Institute, would happen to PGI, would happen anywhere else in the world. But because of the conditions in 89 and 90, we had issues of existence of the institute, a threat to the institute. First thing is 70-80% faculty and employees moved out. Understand? I also moved out in 94, 96, 95, 96. So it was not because my choice. It was the conditions which were
compulsion of the circumstance.
So that time the next thing was not liver transplant, not patient care, not excellent patient care. It was existence of the institute. Can we continue running the institute services? So that became the focus of this thing. And we have not come up out of that. Even after 90, maybe 2004, 2005, when things jab improve, we have not come up out of that. We have not caught up with the rest of the world. That is why in Delhi, now there are 6, 7 or 8 transplant centers. All over India, there are about 40 liver transplant and organ transplant centers. We are only doing kidney transplant, which is the basic out of the solid organ transplant, and we have started doing bone marrow. I think we are yet to catch up to that. So it is just about catching up. But I had actually, when I came back in 2005, I opted to join the institute back in any condition to start the liver transplant again. Because I was doing the liver transplant in King Faisal, I started it doing there. From here I went, I initiated it there. I wrote a letter to the government. They didn't want to do it. So it's...
आप 10 साल रहे किंग फैसल हॉस्पिटल एंड रिसर्च सेंटर में.
That's right.
तो वहाँ पे आप इसी शोबा के सरबराह रहे.
I was heading gastroenterology, hepatology, as well as liver transplant. Three centers, 3 areas I was heading. And we started the liver transplant with a US team. There were 4 universities from US why they started, and I had joined them. We started the liver transplant. Then after a few years, then the local team took over, and now that is one of the best centers on solid organ transplant. It just has to be initiated. It could be initiated here also. There's not a big problem.
आपने जिक्र किया कि 1989 और 90 में जो हालात पैदा हो गए थे, उसके बाद एग्जिस्टेंशियल थ्रेट रहा इंस्टीट्यूट का. उसके बाद इलेक्शंस हुए, बतदरीज इसके में हुकूमतें आई, कभी एक पार्टी कभी दूसरी पार्टी की. तो अभी 20-25 साल से हम इस पीरियड को तकरीबन पीसफुल ही मानते हैं. तो क्या वजह है? क्या इसमें पैसे की कमी है, विल की कमी है? वजह क्या है? क्या क्यों नहीं हो रहे हैं अभी तक यहाँ पे लिवर
ट्रांसप्लांट? Sir, I am telling you, it has yet not caught up with the rest of the world, with the rest of India. Now, I don't know I'm not there to answer this, nor I'm answerable to this question, but it's an observation that we have not caught up with the rest. That is why some people, somebody has to go to Medivac. किसी के पास somebody has an aneurysm, he goes to Medivac and gets done in Delhi. Somebody has a difficult thing, he goes to Delhi or maybe to Hyderabad or to Bombay. While this place should do better than them. If we have caught up, we are local. We have not caught up, although it's doing a great service. Institute is doing a great service. I'm not saying that. But the service at the level it was supposed to do, it has not caught up.
डॉक्टर मोहम्मद सुल्तान खुरो साहब, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया कि आपने हमें बताया तफसील के साथ अपनी ज़िंदगी के बारे में और अपनी जो दरियाफ्तें हैं और आपकी जो तहकीकात हैं इसके बारे में हमने आपसे सुना और हमारे नाज़रीन भी आपसे मुस्तफ़ीद हुए। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।